Ready, sir.
Hello. Shall we start?
Yes, sir, we can start.
Hello. I'm really happy to invite you all for FTP program organized by YMCA College of Physical Education. By grace of God and the encouragement of the management, YMCA College of Physical Education and National Council YMCAs of India, we are organizing the faculty development program from today to 3rd July 2020. The FTP program is eye-opener for all the physical educationists to learn or to go ahead in our physical education profession through various scholars as well as stewards of this physical education. We are going to learn a new thing in the field of physical education. On behalf of YMCA College, I invite you all for the FTP program organized by YMCA College of Physical Education. Now we're going to start the program by the presence of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Let us
Johnson, sir.
Let us pray. Our heavenly gracious Father, thank you for this wonderful morning, Lord. Thank you for this wonderful day you have given us to organize the FD program for the benefit of the physical education personals. I invite you for this FD program. Without you, we cannot do anything, Lord. We need your presence. We ask you to be in the entire program for this day to 3rd July. We need your presence, Lord. I invite you and guide you and lead you in the towards this FD program. We ask in the name of Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you so much, sir, for leading us with a prayer. Now I invite our captain of the ship, Dr. George Abraham, principal and convener of this faculty development program. He has secured 4 gold medals in World Masters Athletic Championship. On those days, he is the fastest man on the earth. For the last 1 month, we have been working hard for this faculty development program under the able guidance of our principal. He has taken much effort to invite the speakers from different parts of the country. Now I invite Dr. George Abraham, principal and convener, to greet all. Sir, please.
Good morning, everybody. Honorable Chief Guest, Guest of Honor, respected Correspondent and Secretary of YMCA College, Administrator of YMCA College, faculties and staff of YMCA College, eminent speakers, professors, physical education directors, other dignitaries, scholars, students and friends. A very good morning to one and all present here in the platform of Zoom and YouTube. I am extremely privileged to have an opportunity to welcome you all to the holy land of physical education of India. That is YMCA College of Physical Education. Extend to all a very warm welcome to this 7 days faculty development program entitled Futuristic Approach and Professional Preparation in Physical Education. Wonderful to have you all here as guests and participants over the next 7 days. We will discuss about the new techniques and share knowledge and insight. I am so glad this time
Sir, not audible, sir.
Sir,
Sir, not
Sir.
audible, sir.
Sir, unmute.
see,
Unmute.
sir, unmute, sir.
Start, sir. Start.
once again,
No, no. Go ahead. Go ahead.
come first.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Some problem. Sorry for that. So I would like to say 2-3 words about YMCA College. As we all know, this college is established in 1920. This college is the first curriculum designed physical education college in India as well as Southeast Asia. Mr. Kharik Rao Bak was the founder, first principal of this college, and he is the father of physical education of India, as we all know. Who was the team manager of 1924 Indian Olympic team, and the team had trained at YMCA College ground. I am glad to respectfully and cordially welcome our chief guest to the 7 days faculty development program. He is none other than Professor Jitendra Naruka. He is the founder principal of Indra Gandhi College of Physical Education and Sports Sciences, Delhi, from my knowledge, 1987 to 1990. And former Vice Chancellor of LNIP Gwalior. We are certainly grateful to you, sir, for courteously and gladly accepting our invitation to become the chief guest of this occasion today, who does not need any formal introduction, as almost all of us gathered here are aware about his deeds done for the development of physical education in India. It's a great pleasure to welcome such a towering personality of Indian physical education as our chief guest of today. So, on the behalf of YMCA College of Physical Education and one and all person here, let me please extend a welcome to you, sir. Sorry. Our guest of honor doesn't require any formal introduction, as we all must have heard about his deeds, endeavors, and endless contribution towards the physical education and society. Dr. Payush Jain, the General Secretary of Physical Education Foundation of India. He's a very respectable personality who is widely known to have put a lot of effort for encouraging young physical education teachers and directors to organize physical education and sports activities in various schools and colleges. He has organized many national and international conferences and seminars. And even now he is organizing many programs, who is giving an opportunity to exhibit the talents and skills of students and teachers from various parts of our country. It's a great pleasure to welcome such a noted personality as our guest of honor of today. So on the behalf of YMCA College and one and all person here, I welcome to you, sir. Sorry. I would like to welcome YMCA College Correspondent and Secretary, Mr. Benjamin Franklin, and the College Administrator, Mr. Rajiv George, who are the backbone of the college and have continuously supported us in our endeavor to spread the light of true knowledge. We welcome you both in the most humble and prestigious inauguration function of Faculty Development Program. Welcome, sir. I would like to welcome the eminent speakers, especially today's speaker, Dr. Sony John. He is one of the eminent sports psychologists of India. Other purposes, faculty members, physical education directors, school PETs, coaches, research scholars, and students from various parts of our country and abroad to this program. I extend a warm welcome to the organizing secretaries of this program, Dr. Johnson Prem Kumar and Dr. Jackson Sudhir Singh. No need to special welcome both, who are the pillars of this 7 days FTP, and their hard work and dedication only we could have organized this program very successfully. Last but not least, I welcome and extend my thanks to all my colleagues, staff, scholars, and students of YMCA College who have always supported the vision and the mission of our college. I think it's a pioneer platform to bring together the eminent speakers, experts, and professionals in the field of physical education and allied sciences from various parts of our country. This is a tribute to our intelligence, diligence, and above all, your tenacity. I hope you will have many thought-provoking deliberations and brainstorming sections for the next 7 days over here. Once again, I welcome one and all person here and listening to this 7 days faculty development program. I request all for your kind cooperation throughout the program and making it a grand success. Thank you. God bless you. Have a great day.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Dr. George Abraham, the principal of this institution, for giving a warm welcome and requesting all the participants to be connected with us for the next 7 days. Thank you so much, sir. And here are some of the things about Dr. George Abraham. After having entered the YMCA College of Physical Education, has received some of the awards, which I'll just put it in a small nutshell. And he's been the recipient of the Sports Scientist Award in 2017, Best Citizen of India Award in 2017 in New Delhi, then Samaj Ratna Award received from Nasik, Mumbai, Special Award by NAPIS in the year 2018 from New Delhi, and received a Distinguished Professor Award in the year 2018, received some of the faculty awards for his best practice in the field of physical education from Tirunelveli in 2018. So we are very happy. Thanks for this beautiful welcome that you have given and brought a warm greetings from YMCA College of Physical Education. Now, as a faculty of YMCA College, I just take the privilege in introducing our today's speaker, the great legend. I have gone through the biodata of Professor Jitendra Singh Naruka, and it is one of the rarest biodata that I have come across. Hailing from an army family, he's been born to Lieutenant Colonel Sundar Singh and got his schooling from military school, and then later stepped into his colleging from Lakshmibai National College of Physical Education, and later became Vice Chancellor of LNIP, Lakshmibai National Institute of Physical Education, Gwalior, in the year 1999 to 2001. He had been the founder and the raiser, the Indra Gandhi Institute of Physical Education and Sports Sciences, University of Delhi, in the year August 87 to August 1990. National Coordinator and Course Director for Sports Administrators Program, accredited by the National and the International Olympic Committee in the year 1997. Director, National Olympic Committee, India since 1990, and identified member faculty and as lecturer, International Olympic Academy, Olympia, Greece in the year 1999 May. He had been the member of the 5th Pay Commission for Technical Education, AICTE, Jan 1996, and has been bestowed with many awards, recipient of many awards like Dr. Radhakrishnan Memorial Award in 2007, and he has programmed the MBA program for Zero Education for the Belgium University in the year 2012 through Mumbai, and then statutory teacher of University of Delhi as Director and Secretary, Physical Education and Sports in the year 1985 to 1999. And again, he had been bestowed with another responsibility since 2001 till date. He had acted as professor and head Department of Sports Management, LNIP deemed university, and also served in taken up additional responsibilities as academic staff college director and many more. And sir, we are very, very happy to have you with us. And with this, I complete my short introduction on Professor Jitendra Singh Naroka. He is MP, PhD, DSM, and LLB. May I request you, sir, to kindly come forward to make your presentation. Thank you. Thank you, participants. प्रोफेसर साहब आप शुरू कर सकते हैं प्रोफेसर साहब Uma? Uma?
Ma'am, please wait, ma'am. She is trying through phone, ma'am. Sarah has some technical issues.
Okay, till then I'll go with some more introduction on Professor Jitendra Singh
Yeah,
Naroka.
Yeah.
So,
carry on, ma'am. Carry on, ma'am. Now,
yes,
I think 1 minute, ma'am. We'll wait for him. We'll check
has he
it
come?
out.
Okay.
Yeah,
if he-
now it's
ready. Right then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sir, please unmute, sir. Jyoti ma'am. Jyoti ma'am.
Yes, yeah. Yes, sir.
Please carry on, ma'am. You can give some more introduction about the chief guest.
Yes. So I again join with you all in making another focus on Professor Jitendra Singh Naroka.
You click the
Yeah. So he had acted as Director, National Olympic Committee of India and affiliated to International Olympic Academy, Olympia, Athens, Greece since 1995. And he has served as Director, Physical Education of Jivaji University, which was earlier where LNIP was also affiliated to Jivaji University in the year 1972 to 1985. He has also served, as I said earlier, Director of Physical Education Sports, New Delhi, University of Delhi since 1985 to 2009. He has served as Life Vice President, Delhi Olympic Association since 2000, and then acted as President, Rowing Association of Delhi, 1999 to 2015. He has served as Vice President, RFI, 2003 to 7, and DLTA, 2009 to 2016. He has served as Chairman, NCTE Norms Committee on Physical Education in the year 2000. Member, expert in physical education, general body, Sports Authority of India since 1992 to 1998, with Prime Minister as President. Deputy Director, Central Delhi 2010, Commonwealth Games 2009 to 2010. He had also served as member, National Expert Committee on Revision of Pay Scale for AICT, as I mentioned earlier. He had been the Indian representative in International Olympic Academy, Olympia, and he has also served as a member after Greece 1989, 1990, 1998, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2007, 2009, 2012, and 2013. He had been the professional, given professional visits to Germany in 2008, 7, 2008, 9, 12, and observed Seoul Olympics, Sydney in the year 1998 and Sydney 2000, Athens 2004, Beijing 2008, London Olympics 2012, and World Universiade Bangkok and in 2007, and also visited Singapore in the year 2010 and represented RFI. So when you look at his biodata, he has got many credentials where he had been serving for the nation and being the born child of the nation, that is from the army family, and also got his schooling from military school and from Lakshmi Bai National College of Physical Education Colleging, and then still even after his retirement he is trying to serve the government of India. So we are very proud to have you in our midst this morning, and kindly go ahead, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, participants.
Ma'am, we have some technical issue in connecting our chief guest. So meantime, we'll carry on to the
if Sony
guest of ma'am, guest of address. So I invite Glory ma'am to give introduction.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jackson, the organizing secretary. We are indeed happy to have the guest of honor of this faculty development program, Dr. Payush Jain, who is the Secretary General of Physical Education Foundation of India. He has graduated from LNIP Gwalior and awarded PhD from SRTM University, Maharashtra. He is the managing editor of International Journal of Physical Education, Health and Sports Sciences. He has published several papers in international and national peer-reviewed journals. Recently, his paper, which was presented at the China in World Congress, was awarded the Outstanding Paper of the Congress, and with the theme of relevance for leisure sports for promoting health. And he is also a recipient of many awards, such as Rajiv Gandhi Excellency Award in the year 2013, Khiladi the Player Excellence Award in 2013, Sports India Award in the year 2017, and Pandit Deen Dayal Award in the year 2017. To his credit, he has been invited in various talks on sports, health sectors in All India Radio, Rajya Sabha, and others. He is also an outstanding orator and participated in many debate and in elocution competitions too. Sir, indeed, we are very happy to have you as a guest of honor for this faculty development program. We welcome you.
Thank you and good morning to all of you. I think I am audible to all of you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so it's my privilege to interact with during this faculty development program, as there is some technical issue with Dr. Naruka sir. He was my teacher also. He is my senior, and moreover, he is also our mentor. So not only this inviting me for this YMCA College of Physical Education in this 1 week faculty development program. As we all knows that we all are fighting with some epidemic called coronavirus, COVID-19 everywhere. And this is the high time where we all are interacting through the social media platforms. As there is some problem with Naruka sir audio and video connection. Connecting to the technology, it's a little bit different things. Sometimes we did not get the proper network, so this problem may face. So we all know that due to this coronavirus or COVID-19, forcefully or for our life, all the school, colleges, universities, departments closure worldwide. And our world has become an empty place to live with social distancing. We always call this from PEFI point of view, we always called it a physical distancing. We are not making social distance because we are more connecting to each other through this technology. So organizing this type of faculty development program not only enhance our knowledge on physical education and sports subject, but also it gives us the mental booster during this a very difficult time to all of us. So I congratulate Dr. George Abraham, Principal YMCA College of Physical Education, and all the organizing team like Dr. S. Johnson, Prem Kumar, Dr. J. Jackson, who is the organizing secretary of this program, and all the faculty members, Benjamin Franklin sir, Rajiv George sir, Jyoti Dayanand madam, for organizing this 7 days faculty development program. I know it's a little bit difficult for organizing such type of program through online platform, because when we are interacting with the one-to-one, face-to-face, that methodology of teaching is more perfect. But we all facing this coronavirus epidemic, so this interacting during this online faculty development program like event will definitely give them boost up in their knowledge, and also it engage us in the mental boosting. So on the occasion of this day, inaugural function of faculty development program, futuristic approaches and professional preparation in physical education, I express my gratitude to this YMCA college. And I think the goal should be clear of this faculty development program. It should be enhance knowledge and how physical education can be a mental booster and health related issues. Because in my every lecture I said that physical education is not only related to the sports. This is the high time where we can interact physical education in the route of health education. Because due to this coronavirus epidemic, everybody is discussing about the immunity, everybody is discussing about the physical activity, how to develop the immunity through physical activity. Before this coronavirus, nobody discussed about the immunity point of view, nobody was discussing about the physical activity. But due to this coronavirus, everybody is now engaging our own as an in physical activity. So for physical education and sports point of view, this is a very high time to all the physical education teacher of the country that you engage yourself to develop the work as a health educator. Because if we conduct a study or we conduct a survey, from any of these, our participants can conduct a survey that we have more than 5 lakhs cases in the coronavirus in our country. Out of these 5 lakh cases, how many are the sports person? How many are the physical educator? And how many who belongs from some yoga field, some gym instructor? I think it will be a very less percentage, because that physical educator and sportsman having a good immunity power. So every physical educator in the country, every sports person of the country should also talk about this, that we have a good immunity. Coronavirus, we can fight with the coronavirus. And you all can work as a health educator. So I'm sure that during all this 7 days program, the experts, speakers, our Dr. G. Vasanti Madam, Dr. Gracie Helena, all will give a knowledge on different topics. And I request to all the participants, attend all the session, take advantage of this faculty development program, and congratulate to Dr. George Abraham and all the team of YMCA for organizing such a wonderful program, which will definitely give a mental booster for the not only for the participants, but also it help in the discussing the matter of how physical education can be developed more professionally and what will be the futuristic approach. Thank you once again, Dr. George and all other faculty members. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. We are very happy to have Dr. P.S. Jain, the General Secretary, Physical Education Foundation of India. Thank you very much, sir. Now, I'm so happy to introduce a great person, the man with dedication and determination, and the man with only one agenda, that is to uplift the glory of YMCA College of Physical Education. Now I request our college correspondent and secretary, Mr. Benjamin Franklin, to give the felicitation address. Sir, please.
Thank you, Mr. Glady.
Thank you.
Dear distinguished guests of this inaugural function, Sri Professor Dr. Jitendra Naruka, and the guest of honor for this program, Professor P.S. Jain, Principal of this prestigious YMCA College of Physical Education, organizing secretaries of this faculty development program, distinguished speakers, distinguished guests, and dear participants. The YMCA College of Physical Education, as the principal has told, is a unit of the National Council of YMCAs in India, and was started 100 years back as Asia's first physical education college, and has produced several national level and international level veterans in the field of sports. The YMCA triangle is representing body, mind, and spirit. Any program which does not consider the whole person is incomplete. I really congratulate the organizers of this program for taking the pain to organize this faculty development program in the centenary year of this college, that do during the lockdown period. It also gives me immense pleasure to give felicitation at this inaugural session of this national level faculty development program And it's really heartening to note that the organizers are chosen to talk about the future, the futuristic approach. When the whole world is worried and is questioning about the individual future, the family's future, society's future, and the country's future in this COVID pandemic situation. When we talk about faculty development, we also should talk about the future of the faculty. It is like a 400-meter running race. Some runners may appear to be standing ahead of others, but the distance they are going to run is the same. There are rules. They should not jump start. They cannot cross their stipulated track. They should not obstruct others, and so on. But in a rugby match, you can obstruct others. In a kabaddi match, you can pull another's leg. I wish that you all run the faculty race like 400 meters race and not play rugby or play kabaddi while developing the careers. One will win one day and the other will win another day. But all will not be able to win on the same day. What you would want others to do to you, you should also try to do the same to them also. Give love to others and you will be loved. You should concentrate on professional skill building to scale greater heights. I am sure this virtual national faculty development program will be very useful to all of you for the next 7 days and wish the program a grand success. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. And now I call upon Mr. Rajiv George, the Administrative Officer, for the facilitation.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Jidendra Singh, the chief guest of the morning function. Dr. Piyush, guest of honor. Principal and my good friend, Dr. George Abraham. And organizing secretaries, Professor Johnson, Dr. Johnson, and Jackson. Am I right? Jackson. Okay. Professor Jackson, Dr. Jackson. Few days back, maybe about 10 days back, myself and Dr. George was discussing about this program. So we were aiming for about 100 to 200 participants. But now I see it has crossed 600 or so. This is a marvelous and awesome attainment, because again Madras, National College of Physical Education is coming to the forefront in many things, and in the lockdown period, the credit of organizing this goes to Dr. George Abraham, Professor Dr. Jackson, and Dr. Johnson. It is not a small job. It is going to continue for 7 days, and Dr. George Abraham recently become a pet of the net because he has become a hot cake in the field of physical education and fitness training. So, as a part of the team of YMCA College of Physical Education, I wish the program all success, and I thank as administrator all the faculty members of the college, all the participants, and all the people toiled behind this, and especially Dr. Uma for being a nice host. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our administrator, Mr. Rajiv George. Thank you, sir, for giving the felicitation address to all of us. Now it's time to invite the great legend, Professor Jitendra Singh Naruka, in our midst. And sir, we have been waiting for your speech. So kindly go ahead and inaugurate this beautiful FDP program, which is being brought out by YMCA College of Physical Education. Please, dhanyavad.
Thank you very much. Sorry I got late because of the connection, the latest technology, something went wrong with sound. Anyway, I'm connected again, so I thank. Well, first of all, I share a little secret for my love to YMCA. When I was in LNIPE Gwalior, LCPE Gwalior, as a gold medalist and as the best student awardee, Dr. J.P. Thomas at that time, who was the principal or chairman or whatever he had to do, he gave me an appointment to join YMCA Madras. And I was so keen to be there. I was celebrating in the evening, but during the celebration itself, I got a telegram from Banaras Hindu University to join their department. So I was a little confused. My father, army officer, he said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I want to be in Madras." But then the question of a university, and that to my old teacher, Professor Karan Singh. So that prevailed, and I missed YMCA for whatever reason. So I have very great love and affection for YMCA, which I must appreciate and convey. Well, thank you very much, Dr. George, and all the members of the organization, the governing body, the chairman, and all those who matter, for choosing a very relevant topic of the day, futuristic approach and professional preparation in physical education. I am quite a mixed breed in the field of physical education. I, from my military school education in Ajmer, joined LNIPE, LCPE at that time, and I had different background altogether. But one thing was there, that in military school, you have compulsory morning and evening activities, almost 4 hours, 2 hours, morning, 2 hours, evening. So I prevailed and was one of the best students, and I merited #1 position. So I could join physical education, maybe by chance, not by this thing. So later on, I then served several institutes. And one of my greatest contributions, in my view at least, is Indra Gandhi Institute of Physical Education and Sports Sciences. I was the one to start sports sciences, and many of my colleagues at that time, they did not support me. They said, "Now you have started sports sciences, we are forgetting physical education." But I had my dream, I had my own say, and it prevailed. At that time, we started about, when the Vice Chancellor asked me, how do you want to start this institute? I said, we must have the best possible faculty, and that is what I thought of. Then there were only 5 posts being sanctioned by the government. At that time, UGC wanted a special course in Bachelor of Physical Education and Sports. So 5 teachers were sanctioned. I proposed about 20-25 teachers to start a new college in University of Delhi. So I was confronted by the Secretary Education, the Vice Chancellor, and Major General Narendra Singh, if you know, the first Director General of the Sports Authority of India, who was also chairman. So they all said, how do you want to, how do you justify your 25 and odd teachers? Then I said, sir, it's a matter of physical education, which is not limited to the old concept of physical training and national discipline scheme, national culture, this thing. It is a sport, it's a science in itself. So there are so many departments involved. So how do you support this thing? I said, fitness is one of our basis thing, which physical education teacher in any mode should impart fitness in whatever way they could. So fitness is one department we should have. Then we should have, we have three mother sports: athletics, gymnastics, and swimming. So I said there should be three departments of like this. There should be one department of fitness, there should be a department of sports sciences, there should be a department of cultural. They like that. There were about 11 departments, and they were a little surprised that the concept of PTI earlier, the physical training instructor at that time, is now a sports science in a big way. And I was expressing it in a little more wider concept. So they said no, and in our time, the Vice Chancellor said in Hindi, told me, well, as on during their time, I'm interpreting in English, there used to be one ustaz who would teach hockey, who would teach football, who would teach cricket and everything, and everybody was happy with it. I said, sir, you are a geography professor. He was a geography professor, no more. Very learned person, Professor Munish Raja. I said, sir, you are a geography teacher. What I learned as a geography is as a science with which we also had social science, with which we have political science, geography, history, and all these were together. So no, don't compare with that. No, sir, you have to, because football is played with foot, hockey is played with stick, the gymnastic has a different thing. You need separate things. For separate things, there is scientific principle involved in everything. Somehow I was able to convince them. They had chairs for me, and very fortunate that we had 11 departments, if I remember all right, in Indra Gandhi Institute of Physical Education and Sports Science, which stands today at number 2 in the whole country as per the judgment of the career evaluation. I feel very proud to have started physical sports sciences in a very, very great way today, which stands in a very so approach, the futuristic approach had its beginning. Now it is maturing. Now nobody talks, whether very few people talk of physical education all by itself. They are always at yogic science, they say sports science, and sports science is with so many subjects: biomechanics, psychology, physiology, kinesiology, so many things. When I have some time discussion with the medical students of my time, they say, what are you talking? You're talking of kinesiology and physiology. What are you doing? This is PT master's subject. No, better be aware. This is human study of a human body. Everything is concerned with this, the mind, the body, the pictures, everything is there. So they somehow feel convinced and they say it is okay. And now we have come to a time where there are universities in physical education. The LNIP was one of them. I was fortunate to be the first director and head of the university as Vice Chancellor, as a graduate of the same university. Then there is a Tamil Nadu Sports University. There is a sports university in Gujarat. There is a sports university to be coming up in Delhi. Haryana has announced a sports university. Orissa wants to have one sports university. And very recently, where I was a member of the steering committee, Punjab Sports University, Maharaja Bhupinder Singh Sports University, just started with Lieutenant General Chima as the Vice Chancellor. So now there is a lot of improvement. There is futuristic approach involved, and we are happy to know that physical education has its own. Now to measure the futuristic approach, we need to go back to what existed and what is existing and how can we do much better. Well, with my bit experience in interacting with so many world leaders in sports and sports sciences at the level of at the world level, I have been representing India at the International Olympic Academy, Olympia, Greece, Olympia, Athens, Greece, right from late 1990s, almost 27 years hence. And I feel so happy that we in India are no less than them. I am also accredited national course director by the International Olympic Committee, Lausanne. And we impart certain courses in Olympic education, Olympic legislation. I happen to be the accredited leader by them. It's a very great involvement. And that makes us, what I said was a mix of so many other things. Olympic education, Olympic means, Olympic committees, Olympic Academy, a National Institute, and LNIP Gwalior. Having served Banaras Hindu University, having served Punjab University. So I have nothing else but experience of various kinds. So thank you very much, Dr. George. I am very fond of you. You are one of the awardees in professional institute level, mainly by PEFI, courtesy Pius Jain and so many others. One of the very rare and deserving awardees. I always follow you in many things. I've been seeking your guidance while being chairman of the UGC formulation of curriculum, and you were very kind. Even if when you were abroad, you were away, you gave me a lot of information, and that gives us a sense of this thing. So when we go for the futuristic approach, I consider we are doing good enough. We are doing this seminar itself is a great step forward. And I wish every one of us makes us go forward. I am very grateful to YMCA in a way that the most important, the most prominent leaders in our profession have been from YMCA. My favorite, my revered teacher, my guide, my philosopher has been late Dr. P.M. Joseph, Padam Shri from LCP. When he was in LCP, I suppose he was in YMCA Madras. And then Mr. Chopde, next to him, was also from YMCA, I suppose. Dr. Robson, one of the greatest person in promoting research. We can call him to be father of research in our country. And I happen to be his first disciple, one of the first students to enroll myself for PhD under him. That is something great which I carry. Dr. Robson, Dr. Thomas gave me the first appointment. They're all from YMCA, I suppose. And hence YMCA has a great contribution to make in the society. I only wish it continues, it grows further, and it
Thank you very much, sir, for revealing unknown secrets about your career in the field of physical education. Thank you very much for your guide and support for the field of physical education. Thank you for giving the different prospect in the view of sports sciences for physical education. Thank you, sir. Now it's the time for us to enter into the first day's session. On behalf of all the delegates and the YMCA College of Physical Education, I would like to invite Dr. Soni Tanikal John, Associate Professor, Department of Physical Education, Christ College, Irinjalakuda, for the first day, first session. Here I am going to give you a crisp Biodata about Dr. Soni. Dr. Soni holds his doctoral degree in psychology of motor learning and sport from Victoria University, Melbourne, Australia, a world ranking university. He is a recipient of Endeavour Postgraduate Award from the Government of Australia. He was the sports psychologist of Kerala state team for the 35th National Games. He has also contributed much in research paper in the field of physical education, particularly in the field of sports psychology. He has presented in different conferences like European Federation of Sports Psychology Conference held at Copenhagen, Denmark in the year 2003. Then in the Ibero-American Conference held at Havana, Cuba in the year 2008. International Conference of Applied Psychology held at Melbourne in the year 2010. He was the lead speaker in Malaysian National Conference in the year 2015 and also in the ISSP World Conference at Spain in the year 2017. He is one of the recipient of Professor M. Ghani Award for the best teacher in humanities in Calicut University during the year 2016 and 17. This is only the contribution, but he is doing much for the field of sports and psychology. We are happy to invite him for the first day session. We invite you, sir, please.
Okay, friends. Amid a period of struggles, we are together talking different aspects related to our profession. I'm really happy to hear Professor Naruka. When I was a student in LNCP Gwalior, I heard a lot about him. And I was also at Indra Gandhi Institute for an International Congress. We have met before, but I don't think you remember me because you know, I was not in constant touch with Professor Naruka for that matter.
Dr. Soni, no voice. You can raise your voice also.
Is that okay?
A little more louder. Can you raise it?
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I can do that. Okay. Are you okay now?
Yes. Yes. Thank you.
Am I audible?
Yes. Yes, doctor.
All right. Okay. Thanks.
Thank you.
So I've been talking about different things like how Naruka was at Indra Gandhi Institute of Physical Education when we were at the same institution for an international conference. I think it was way back in 1992 or something. He was a guest at that time, I think, because by the time he had left the institution, he was the founder principal of that institution at that time. Now, I'm really happy to be here in this webinar and to be associated with the YMCA College of Madras, just not because YMCA College is the pioneer institute in physical education in India, but because my father was an alumnus of this very college in 1950s. He did a certificate course in physical education sometime in 1950s. The topic that I'm going to deal with today is psychological preparation for competition, pros and cons. We all talk about psychological preparation of sports teams and the national administrators of different countries put in a lot of money into psychological preparation of athletes. There are specialized individuals trained as sports psychologists who go on to meet the requirements of psychological preparation of these teams. So I'll start.
Can you share your slides, please?
I'll start sharing my desktop now so that we can get on with. All right. Right. So psychological preparation in a way is an important aspect of any competition. Before going for the competition, you have to psychologically prepare. There are different ways and means for preparing yourself psychologically. We have been working with, I myself and a couple of other sports psychologists were working with Kerala teams for the last national games held in Kerala. And it was a wonderful experience. And we had several challenging tasks ahead of us. And most of the time, players would come and tell us that we are really tensed. We don't know what to face the competition. That was one aspect. Some of them would say that they are not focused while training. Some of them would say that we got problem within the team. We got to solve that if we want to win. Some of them would say that I have a problem with coach. Can you help us to solve it? And it was a constant program where we were in touch with athletes and we were in a way successful in order to bring in a lot of medals. But as a sports psychologist, I always look for the performance. For me, medals are secondary because we train individuals, and what is more important for me is for the individuals to improve themselves upon their own performance. There are some fundamental principles of psychological preparation for competitions. I'll share all this with you. You can go through that. One is empower the athlete. I was talking about just coming to this before coming to this. I was talking about how to make the athlete capable of performing, facing the challenge. Now, one aspect is that we have to ensure that you empower the athlete, because athlete is going to compete. Not the sports psychologist, not the coach, not the manager, but the athlete is going to compete. In most of the countries, why they are successful, they always focus on empowering the athlete. So empower the athlete is one of the most basic principles of psychological preparation for competition. Then individualist strategies. Every individual is different. You cannot have the same strategy for every individual. You have to have different strategies for different individuals. This is where the psychologist has to play the crucial role. He has to identify how an individual is different from the other individual. And accordingly, you'll have to look for different strategies for different individuals. Proper learning and training strategies. You might wonder what learning strategies we can have, what proper training strategies we should adopt when we go for a training of a team. I don't know whether you know about implicit learning and explicit learning. Probably somebody who is very much interested in psychology or sports psychology would know what is implicit learning or explicit learning. Explicit learning means direct teaching learning process, like the coach demonstrates and the athlete imitates, or the coach explains things and the athlete tries to grasp it. Whereas implicit learning is a different kind of learning altogether. For example, we all can speak our mother tongue. I can speak Malayalam, probably Jyoti can speak Tamil without any mistake, because they are our mother tongues. But if I ask Jyoti, what are the grammar rules of Tamil? Probably she won't be able to explain me what are the grammar rules of Tamil, because she learned Tamil implicitly. Anyone would learn their mother tongue implicitly without actually thinking about it, without actually cornering a bit of knowledge in terms of oral information. So that is, I'll touch upon this subject later on. So there are different learning strategies that you can implement. And here also you have to look at the individual, which training strategy is apt for a particular individual. Then you have to go on to implement that particular training or learning strategy. Structured psychological skills training program. Any training program for that matter, any psychological training program should have a structured psychological skills training program. For example, relaxation skills, imagery skills, goal setting skills, performance profiling. There are several such things that an athlete need to know as psychological skills in order to be successful at the elite level. Then imagery training and kinesthetic sensitization. I already touched upon imagery training. Often we have a tendency to think that imagery is visualization. I did my PhD in imagery, so I go a bit deep into that actually. Imagery is not only visualization. We have a tendency to think that imagery is visualization. It is not only visualization. You can imagine voice of others. You can imagine the touch of others. You can imagine the taste of a good dish. So imagery can use any sensory modality. Imagery can use any sensory modality, and the predominant sensory modality used by imagery is visual. There is absolutely no doubt about it. Implementing strategies for sustained attention and focus. what are foci of an individual, what are different attentional strategies we can associative and disassociative attentional strategies that we can use in sports. So you should have an idea, you should have a principle based on that. What are the attentional strategies that I'm going to implement in my training program? Then effective use of neural energy. We all got neural energy, but sometimes we use unnecessarily we use neural energy. We get angry unnecessarily. We make, emotionally, we become charged without reason sometimes. And this is a very valuable thing, the neural energy. And you have to use it really, really carefully. A sportsman should really use it very carefully. I still remember one incident when World Cup hockey tournament was held in New Delhi. It was a wonderful event. India was playing Pakistan in the first match. And India performed quite well. And there was a bit of build-up towards that match, actually. There was a lot of writing in the press. There were discussions in the TV, visual media. And there was quite a bit of build-up towards that match. And India played really well. India defeated Pakistan very convincingly. But unfortunately, they promised a lot, but they couldn't fulfill that promise. Probably, I always feel that you have built up in such a way that they were focusing too much on the match against Pakistan, but they faded away. They couldn't sustain that kind of neural energy when the tournament went on. So these are certain things that you should know about using neural energy intelligently. We call it in another way we can call emotional intelligence, right? Effective use of neural energy is then developing self-awareness and self-regulatory skills. Self-awareness, you should be aware about yourself, about your personality, your abilities and weaknesses. You should have a correct idea about your personality if you want to be successful in high-level competition. Then regulatory, self-regulatory skills. How you are going to regulate yourself? What are the strategies that you can use to regulate yourself? These are certain things that should be part of the training program. Developing social awareness and communication skills. Of course, when you are training with a coach, you should have good communication skills, good relationship with your coach. When you are training with a team, you should have exceptionally good relationship among the team and with other players of the team. That's imperative. Otherwise, the team is not going to be successful, right? Or you are not going to be successful sometimes. You may be kept out if the coach believes that you're not mingling with the team and you are preventing the cohesiveness of the team, probably you will be kept out. So the possibilities are. So you should ensure that you become part of the team, you become part of the social cohesive activities of the team. So that's very important. That's where psychologists can play a role in bringing the togetherness of the team. Establishing sustainable motivational strategies. We always talk about extrinsic and intrinsic motivation, achievement motivation, things like that. And we implement some strategies like goal setting. Sometimes we use extrinsic strategies like reward, promotions, and things like that. Intrinsic strategies, sometimes coach uses intrinsic strategies, making the player involved in the activity through enhancing the enjoyment aspect. It's all possible. So you should know what motivational strategies are you going to adopt for a particular player. That's very important. Then understanding open and closed situations and skills. This is very important. Often we undermine this particular aspect. What is the sport what is the sport all about? For example, it is football. The team that you're handling is football. What kind of a sport it is? What kind of skills are involved? Is it an open sport or a closed sport? Football is an open sport because your move is not determined by yourself. It is determined by most of the time by others or the situations that come into play in the match. So we call it an open sport. But then there are closed situations in football. For example, you get a corner kick. That's a closed skill, closed situation in that sport. You decide where to kick the ball. You decide at what time you are going to kick the ball after the whistle of the referee. The things are in your control. That is closed situation. So a closed skill is a skill. For example, bowling is a closed skill. The bowler decides where to bowl. Whereas on the other hand, batting is an open skill, open situation, where the batsman will have to bat as per the ball bowled by the bowler. So this you need to understand while preparing psychological training for the teams. Then we have implementation of proper rehabilitation procedures. We often undermine when the player is injured, then there is no training. Shouldn't be like that. There has to be a proper rehabilitation training, and there should be psychological training upgoing along with the rehabilitation process. I can give the example of Bats, the French goalkeeper in 1986 World Cup. He was injured about 6 months before the World Cup. He was injured. He was hospitalized. He couldn't move. His leg was fractured. He was the #1 goalkeeper in the world at that time. The French team was worried. Then, Bats was smarter than the administrators and his own coach. What he did was he would always watch games. He would always imagine playing football. And he would always watch Zico taking the penalty kick, the Brazil footballer, because there was a possibility that Brazil and France could clash in the quarterfinal of the World Cup. To be truthful, there was a match between France and Brazil. There was a penalty in the regulation time. Zico came to take the penalty kick. Bats easily saved his penalty kick. Till then, Zico was known as the best penalty taker in world football at that time. He was a failure. But later what happened? The match ended in a draw and it was extended into tiebreaker. Zico came to take penalty kick again. This time Zico was smarter, he scored. So Bats later said that when the journalist asked, why, how did you save that penalty kick in the regulation time? He said that I was injured. For about 1 month, I was bedridden. I was in the hospital bed. And almost every day, I would see Zico taking penalty kick, and I would imagine myself saving that penalty kick. And the moment he came to take the kick, I knew that which way he's going to kick, and I saved it. Then the journalist asked again, then why? How did you lose the second one, the tiebreaker one? He said, Zico is smarter than me, probably. So when the rehabilitation is on, you have to ensure that you add psychological training. The psychological training never ends up, it goes on. Because even if you're physically not well, you can use your mind. And you can keep pace with some of the progress in the on-field training. So we often do not do that. So that is one thing that you need to consider while preparing for the competition. Psyching up strategies, this is very important. Psyching up strategies, how do you psych up people? I was giving the example of Indian team defeating Pakistan in the World Cup and later on going to, fading away from or getting out of focus from the competition. There was a psyching up problem there. They were psyched up for the Pakistan match and they used all the neural energy there. Then later on, went on to lose matches. So this is very important actually. Psyching up strategies need to be used carefully, and you have to ensure that you use the strategies to psychologically periodize the players in a proper way so that they peak, they will become in a flow state at the right time to perform at the right way. That is very important. Now, psychological periodization for peak performance is the next principle, actually. If you look at different aspects, psychological aspects involved in sport, I would without doubt say that flow is probably the most important aspect of performance, psychological aspect. How well you are in flow. For example, you would understand if I give you an example, what is flow all about. You might have had cricket teams back in schools and colleges. Some players, some batsmen would say you after scoring a century, who would come and tell you, that I was counting my runs till 60, but after that, I couldn't count. I didn't know how I scored the runs. He was on a flow. He was on a flow. He was flying through the innings actually, without actually thinking about what he was doing actually, but the brain being, the neural system being so much equipped, so much involved, so much merged into the performance actually. So that is the flow state that we need to have. Sometimes, smart players have strategies to break the flow of plays. I still remember, I think Sindhu was playing Marin in one of the World Championship finals, probably. Sindhu was leading and Sindhu was playing really good. But at that moment, Marin took out some strategy actually. Sindhu was in good flow. Marin had some problem. She stopped playing. She brought in a discussion. She broke the play there. And ultimately what happened? Sindhu lost her rhythm. So these are certain things, you need to understand about flow. And probably that is one of the most important, probably for me, flow is the most important psychological aspect that produces results or exceptional good performances. Now, face-to-face interaction with in the regular intervals. A sports psychologist and the coach will have to have face-to-face interaction with these players at regular intervals, where he'll have to provide or she will have to provide counseling to the players, so that the players will open up and reveal things, and you'll be able to, remove some of the micro blocks they create during the training sessions. We had this problem, for the national games. Micro blocks, micro psychological blocks. They have some doubts in the mind. But if we can clear that doubt up, we are sure that they're going to perform really good. We'll come to that later on. Then relationship skills. You need to put emphasis on developing relationship skills. Match day preparations. We emphasize quite a lot on match day preparations. We actually didn't talk to them in the morning session, but we would have advised them actually what they should do in the morning of the competition. You should get up early. If you have the habit of praying, pray. You should have one of your favorite eatables. Some of them wanted to have Cadbury's, some of them had fruits, some of them had traditional Kerala diet like kanji. All right. So we advise them, whatever you like, whatever you get, and out of that, your favorite dish you should have. Because we were focusing on maintaining their best mental mood to perform the best on the field. We would advise them to do imagery, naturally. We would advise them to see, hear their favorite singer or see their favorite actor doing some, acting sequence in YouTube or in laptop in the videos. Our intention was to bring the best positive mood in that particular athlete so that we get the best performance in the afternoon when they go for the competition. We even would advise them to talk to their lover, actually, we did. Talk to your lover, talk to your partner, but don't quarrel. Sometimes what happens, they say after that, we picked up a quarrel and there was an altercation and it is negative. Sometimes it happens, but we always advise them, have a nice talk positive things, get some motivation from your partner, or talk to your mother, talk to your father, or talk to your former coach or somebody who is really very close to you, or talk to me at least. So these are certain strategies on the match day preparation, as part of the match day preparations that we did, and we had really very good positive results in that edition of national games. Then principle of facing challenges. Always equip your athlete ready for challenges. Sometimes what happens? Sometimes athletes feel that the upcoming match is a threat. And the tension goes on. The stress level goes on higher and higher. They feel fear in their mind because they feel the match as a threat, actually. They develop fear, pre-match fear, and that can always be negative on the field. But what we did, we would put up certain challenges from the starting stages in the preparatory, even from the preparatory stage, we'll put in front of them certain challenges and make them capable of facing those challenges. So that what happens is that they don't feel the threat, but they feel a feeling of challenge in their mind when it comes to actual competition. That is positive. You should feel that challenge, and along with that challenge, they will feel some stress, which will be like optimum level of stress required for performance. That is what we need, actually. That's what we need for the flow to come in, performance flow to come in, right? Then we have inclusive planning. When we plan a program, you should be careful to make the program an inclusive one. You may have to include their parents. You may have to include other administrators in the planning. You may have to include coaches. Sometimes you may have to include their previous coaches. You know, sometimes what happens when I go to an athlete, the coach was there with the athlete only for a month. And I just joined. I don't have much idea about the athlete. What am I supposed to do? I would naturally talk to the athlete's previous coach to know how he faces competition. What are his habits? What are his mood changes or her mood changes? We did that because when we prepare athletes for competition, we have to take into account all these aspects in order to prepare them properly for the competition. Because we know that psychological factors will form the winning edge when they are on the field against the opponent. Because today we know that when elite athletes are competing, physiologically and technically and all, they're all almost same. What brings in the difference is the mental edge. That is one of the reasons why people want to put a lot of importance on mental preparation these days. Now, how do we divide the training program? There could be fundamental or preparatory training that starts from the first day of the coaching program. Then regular sensitization training, whatever you train, like imagery or goal setting or relaxation, like progressive relaxation or autogenic training or whatever it is, you need to sensitize it with the athlete. Then advanced competition training. What strategies we implement for the advanced training in order to bring the flow factor out onto the field? That's very important. Let's have a look at it. Fundamental or preparatory training, self-awareness training. You have to look at the self-awareness of the individual. We need to bring in sessions, counseling sessions and stuff like that where they should be aware about themselves. Sometimes what happens, we know some players are really good. When I look at the hockey team, I know that some of the players are capable of breaking through any defense when the penalty corner is taken. They are so much good in drag flicking. But then probably they behave like, you know, they are not aware about their abilities on the field. Or they are not in a position to make use of their abilities at the right time on the field. So self-awareness training is an imperative one. You have to focus on self-awareness training. Then you have to decide on learning strategies that I was talking about, whether you are using explicit training programs or implicit training programs or whatever it is. Motivational awareness, what kind of motivational sources a player likes and what kind of motivational awareness you have. Psychological skills training. We have several psychological skills like relaxation training, imagery, performance profiling. Then we have goal setting, several of them. You have to train an athlete on all that. Attention training. What way you have to pay attention? What are the different aspects that you have to focus really? What aspect that you shouldn't focus on? These are certain things that you need to be aware about. Awareness of neural energy use. The athlete should be aware about the use of neural energy. He shouldn't use his neural energy unnecessarily. You find it sometimes, you know, when a tight competition is going on, players waste their energy arguing with the umpire. They get out of focus suddenly. They lose their flow. You know, our aim is to bring the flow, the smooth performance on the field, right? So if you divert to other things, you divert your attention to other things, that means you are making use of your neural energy for other things where you will be out of focus. You will lose your flow. So they should be taught how to use their attentional skills. Awareness of neural energy use. Communication. It should start from the beginning. From day one, communication should beginning. How you introduce a player, how you attend meetings whereby they break the ice and they mingle themselves, and they, you have some activities for to bring them together, to get introduced to others and be together. And you have to fix up your preferences in terms of team cohesion through communication. Awareness about closed and open skills situations. Players should be taught what is an open skill. When you are going to take a free kick, you should know that free kick is something that I can take. No one can influence on that. And if I am skillful, I can score it like Messi does. He knows that it's a close situation. If I do well, the ball will be there in the net because I have the skill for that. That's a close situation. Or taking a corner kick, where should I hit the ball for a particular player? It's a close situation. So players should know what is a close skill, what is an open skill, and what are the options in these situations that he can well use. Psychological periodization. You should periodize psychologically athletes so that they attain their peak form, they attain flow, performance flow at the right time. That's very important. The next one is self-esteem, self-awareness training. Self-esteem. What is self-esteem? Self-respect, self-awareness, the feeling that you have for yourself, actually. The feeling that you have for yourself, actually. The respect for you, your belief in your own abilities, self-confidence, the confidence that I can do that. When you're going to take a penalty kick, I can finish it, I'll do that. That confidence, because you have done it a lot of times before, and you know that you can do that, and you'll do that. Locus of control and self-confidence is very important. Locus of control. What is the point that controls your performance? Where is that point stands? Whether it is within you or outside. You might have heard some players saying that after the match they lost, and who would say that it is because of the umpire. It is because of the umpire. He was not doing the right thing, because he always tries to find a reason outside him, actually, an external factor. That is, the locus of control is outside. It happened several times. I was working as sports psychologist for a top volleyball team in the country. The team was from Kerala. And it was not the players, but the coach always had locus of control outside. He would always say something, an external factor was the reason for losing. A confident individual will always find a reason within him, actually. That is self-criticism, finding a reason within him, actually. Yeah, this is it. I can solve it. Next time, I'll solve it. That should be the way that you go about it. Ego and super ego, probably all of you know it. It means the most natural thing, the libido kind of thing, the most natural thing. Ego means what you think about yourself. Super ego means what external factors think about you. This is very important. This is very important. The ego should be close to it, actually. The ego should be always based on the actual qualities somebody has. That is the best confidence that will give to the individual. For example, you got a football match or a hockey match. You won the match. And as a player, you know that you scored 2 goals. But inside your mind, you know that though I scored 2 goals, I'm sure that I didn't play well. Now, the coach is saying that, look, you had a wonderful game. You scored 2 goals and you played really well. A confident player will not accept that, because in his own judgment, he would know that though I scored 2 goals, I know that I didn't play well. Sometimes coach would say, you scored 2 goals, but you didn't put up a real good show. He'll accept that comment because he knows that, yes, whatever he is telling is right. I know that I didn't play well. Though I scored 2 goals, I didn't play well. I accept that comment. Okay, so this is the way that you need to, you need to judge the super ego, and you need to enhance your ego and based on your own abilities rather than, ballooned up things. That's very important, right? Next, learning and training strategies, implicit versus explicit. I did say that, there are two types of learning, implicit and explicit learning. Implicit learning is highly used in training schedules in Australia and in other countries. I know that it is highly used in Australia in cricket and hockey. They have developed wonderful strategies for implicit learning. They have strategies like dual paradigm. It's like, you'll do two things. For example, you're catching in cricket. Okay, you're practicing catching in cricket, but at the same time, you got somebody speaking about something, like somebody is narrating a film story. The coach would say that you keep catching, but at the same time, I want you to tell me, give me feedback about the story that is being told by Jack. So what the player has to do, he will take his attention to hearing the story. He'll be hearing the story, picking up things, because he knows that coach will ask him later, but at the same time, he'll keep taking the catches. So that's a dual paradigm. Analogy training. Analogy training, for example, we usually give the example of table tennis. How do you play the forehand shot? Something like this. You play the forehand shot like this. From here, it goes like this. But instead of that, instead of explaining all that, if the coach says that, have you seen a triangle? Have you seen the slopier side of a triangle? How does it go? It goes like this. Then take your hand like that. Take your hand like that. So that is an analogy training. So what happens here is that in implicit learning, less thinking is used, but the learner is asked to do the thing rather than thinking about it. Because we know that I did my PhD in sports cognitive neuroscience, where I found how imagery works with mirror neurons and stuff like that. So when we look at the functioning, when we look at the way the brain functions, when you are moving around, when you're doing activity, the brain function is predominantly dominated by cerebellum, the motor area of the brain, and the working memory. There is a direct connection. The working memory and the cerebellum will be busy with working. So if you start thinking whether you did right, what happens? You took a kick and you are thinking, did I do it right? Then what happens? From the motor domain, your brain function will have to move to cognitive domain. And that will bring in a break in the rhythm. So that need not happen. Actually, that shouldn't happen. So implicit learning ensures that a player is in the motor domain all the time without thinking. Because we always have a tendency, we got a hypothesis testing behavior in all of us. When we do something, when we play forward defensive shot, or when we play cover drive, or when we take a penalty kick or a corner kick, we always have a tendency to compare our act with a copybook model. We think about it. And when you think about it, your rhythm goes down. So they have started implementing implicit learning strategies in order to bring up the performance level of the players. For teaching googly, they will never say that you have to take the wrist like this. No, it is 12 o'clock. They would say 12 o'clock. It should come like this. And if you want a leg breaker, then it is 3 o'clock. Flipper, again, 9 o'clock. So they use analogy method in order to teach skills to the players and especially children. And what happens is that whatever you learn, for example, I was talking about mother tongue, Tamil, Malayalam, Hindi, whatever it is, if it is mother tongue, that is the most sustainable language you will ever have, because you learn those languages implicitly. So the skills learned implicitly are the most sustainable kind of skills, motor skills. Now, there are other strategies like imagery, video modeling, and other simulation strategies. Imagery, I said that it is not only visualization. There is a visual element in that, but you can do imagery by hearing. You can imaginarily hear somebody's voice, You can imaginarily taste a dish. You can feel the smell imaginarily. So the sensory modality, you can use imagery in any sensory modality. But when you say visualization, it's only visual. No other sensory modality involved. So we usually say that imagery is something that you can have in any sensory modality. Now, the most important thing in imagery is that we can feel images, feel movement rather, not images. We can feel movement. That is kinesthetic imagery, the elite, the sublime form of imagery, kinesthetic imagery. You might have seen some cricketers in IPL and all that, they take some catches without actually seeing the ball from behind the body. Look at their spatial awareness, spatial and temporal awareness. Why? Because they have better kinesthetic sense. They have better kinesthetic sense. We are developing actually at the Center for Sports Psychology at Christ College, we are developing a strategy whereby we are using imagery actually to develop kinesthetic sensitization, whereby the individual will feel the movement more than seeing or hearing, whatever it is. The kinesthetic sense, the sixth sense actually, where you feel the movement. So those things you need to impart in imagery training. Then video modeling, what kind of video you want to use, first person video, internal video, or third person or external video, and how it is going to work, all that. Then peer teaching. The best way to learn something is to teach something. I always tell my players, if you want to learn something, a particular skill, if you want to perfect it further, then you teach it to your junior player. You learn a lot of things. So peer teaching is a strategy that is widely used in learning and training domain. Then time-bound learning strategies. You give a time bound, this is the time you have to learn this. Time-bound learning strategies are implemented. Questioning strategy, always encourage players to question. One thing that we always do, now don't ask a question. No, encourage them to ask questions. Why it is so? Why do you want to do this? Because they need to get the logic behind it, the reasoning behind it, so that they take interest in learning that. But otherwise, when you say that this is the way that you should do it, just do it. So if somebody asks, no questions, just do it, they're not likely to have a lot of interest in doing that. So you have to ensure that you encourage players to ask questions about different things when the training goes on. Skill execution and repetitions, usual procedure, execution and repetition of skills. Then pressure training, a particular situation created. Pressure training, this is what I was talking about, challenges, creating challenges in the preparatory and intermediate training schedules. So pressure training, feedback and collective correction, always take feedback from the players. Always take feedback from the players, make corrections, make improvements so that they get involved properly in the training programs. When they give feedback, you have a moral responsibility to listen to their feedback and to make necessary corrections. Right. But sometimes feedback is that it is his individual problem. You cannot take his individual problem as a true feedback for the entire team. That need to be managed individually. So you have to be careful when you take feedback, you have to judge that feedback, and then accordingly you can make changes. Learn together strategies. Implement strategies whereby encourage players to learn together. All right. Then motivational awareness, sources of motivation. You need to know what are the sources of motivation for a particular player. What is intrinsic and extrinsic sources of motivation for a particular player. Sometimes we have a tendency to stress too much on extrinsic motivation, and that is not the way it should be. It has to be a mixture of both intrinsic and extrinsic. You can provide him extrinsic motivational strategies like rewards or promotion or something of that sort, but basically his foundation, motivation foundation, should be intrinsic. He should have basic interest in the activity and basic interest to perform and basic way to enjoy whatever he is doing on the play. That's very important. Then there are several strategies of motivation. One is goal setting. Goal setting is a very usual strategy that we employ in sports, but you have to ensure that when you set a goal, you should ensure that that goal is not easily achievable, but achievable. Never set a goal that can never be achieved. Right. But set a goal that is tough enough that he can achieve when it takes enough effort. We had a particular situation in national games. I was dealing with a long jumper. I shouldn't reveal that athlete's name, her name. She was a female athlete. She was like, her personal best was 583 or something of that sort. We had another long jump in Kerala team. She was a Commonwealth medal winner. Probably you know who is that Commonwealth medal winner. So that was a situation. Now this girl was like, she lacked a bit in confidence, because one of the issues that she discussed with me was that she always had a foul jump when she competed. First jump would always be foul, and that will take away her confidence. And then we worked together. We built up a strategy. We had frequent interaction. We formed a strategy based on imagery. Then she would practice imagery whenever she gets time. She would later tell me that whenever she prayed for better performance, along with praying, she would imagine doing good jumps. Then we had a look at her, and we used a still image, because in order to enhance flow, I had to reduce her cognitive domain, and I had to bring her brain function more into the motor domain. And we used a still photography of Anju Gobi George taking a takeoff. Her leg muscles contracted on the taking board. We used that image in order to invoke flow in her, and she used that. She was set up, and she went on to jump 633 in her first jump, and she won the gold medal with that first jump. So we have been working, and she was elated to say, when she was interviewed, she was telling that it's because of the sports psychology input that I was able to overcome that particular block that she had. She had a block in her mind. She would always feel that my first jump is going to be foul, and that would be foul. And we were able to remove that block, and she came out with a very good performance. She later went on to become national champion several times. She missed Rio by 3 centimeters. So, sometimes it happens. But I was really happy the way she came out. So these are certain things, what motivates somebody? You have to look at it, and it is individualized. Something that motivates one individual may not motivate another individual. Strategies of motivation: goal setting, providing performance feedback. You need to give correct feedback. Never give a feedback like when somebody, as I said before, in the case of that hockey player, 2 goals but no good performance. So never give a wrong feedback. Give an accurate feedback. That will help him to develop his confidence. Actually, some coaches have a tendency to give always positive feedback, and he keeps thinking that he is doing really good. No, there has to be some kind of reality check when you give feedback. That's very important. Then performance feedback, identifying individual sources of motivation for people. Then extrinsic strategies, use extrinsic strategies, probably rewards, probably promotion offer, or probably a job offer. These are extrinsic strategies that we usually have. And you shouldn't forget that some of our best non-sportsmen got introduced to that particular sport through extrinsic means. Some of them went to play cricket, went to play hockey because their grandpas or their parents offered chocolates when they attended those coaching camps. Later, they went on to take interest to take on coaching camps. When they started performing, then they developed good intrinsic base of motivation to fly up further into the performance. Psychological skills training, anxiety management programs are there. You can use autogenic training or something like progressive relaxation training or breathing techniques in order to avoid anxiety, but provided you have enough time to get used to it, get sensitized to it. Actually, it is a process. You should teach your brain what is a relaxed condition and what is a tensed condition. That is imperative to avoid anxiety. You should know, your brain should know what is a tense condition and what is a relaxed condition. That's very important. Energy management. That's another area that you have to develop skills actually to manage energy. Communication skills, how to communicate. What is the code of ethics in the team, how to communicate with seniors, how to communicate with the coach, how we go, what way we mingle with each other, what are the social programs that we involve in, what are the task activities that we involve in, what way we communicate. What if somebody is looking at me, what does it mean? If somebody is looking at others, what does it mean? Communication. You need to develop communication. Then goal setting. I already talked about it. Imagery, I did talk about imagery. Imagery can be of two perspectives, either internal or external. Internal imagery means you imagine as if you are seeing from within your body, you imagine, internal imagery. Whereas external imagery means it's like a third person imagery, like watching yourself in the video, right? So these are certain differences that you need to know, and the right kind of imagery training need to be implemented. Then performance profiling, you should be able to have performance profile. I'll talk about it, performance later on. Self-talk is another strategy, another skill that you can develop. Talk to yourself, imaginarily talk to yourself, enhance your confidence, give positive thoughts to your mind, and keep performing. Team building, always an issue with team sports. There can be splits. Even it is true, even in the case of Indian teams, because players come from different regions of the country. They have different practices, different cultures, and it can bring up differences altogether. So you need to have better team building strategies. The coach need to know better team building strategies so that people come together. They understand the goal of the mission, and accordingly they get involved in it, right? This is a sheet that you can use for performance profiling, and you would find the external circle here that you can write the skill here, like if it is in the case of a goalkeeper, probably you can say that catching skills, reaction time, mobility, anticipation, several things you can write here. Now you can rate from 2 to 10, you can rate. You can find a scale there. You can rate, accordingly you can rate where you stand in catching the ball, where you stand in anticipating, where you stand in positioning. And you can use this, and you can focus on improving some of the aspects where you are not sure about. You can use the same form. You can use the same form for the coach. The coach will also can evaluate where this particular goalkeeper is standing. He'll give his feedback, compare it, and understand where you are standing, improve upon it. One of the sports psychologists, I think Sandy Gordon from Western Australia University, who was with the Indian cricket team, and he implemented performance profiling with Indian cricket team. And Rahul was talking about it. Rahul Dravid was talking about it extensively later on, how he made us to think about our own performance, our own weaknesses, and how we were focused on improving ourselves. Okay, so these are certain things that you need to understand. Attentional training, simulation training. There are different strategies used for simulation training these days. Not only imagery, not only videos. There are games, where you get 10 minutes focusing. Just play the game, just like a football game you would be looking at, and you will be moving yourself, and you will be simulating those movements in your mind. So that is something that technology has brought in the attentional training these days. There are several versions of it. Then association and dissociation strategies. Usually we use it for long distance running, cycling, and stuff like that, where you can focus your attention either within you, your own movements, your own breathing, your own thoughts, looking back into you. That is association focusing. Whereas dissociation strategy is like when you are tired, when you feel fatigued, then you take your attention outward. You start counting number of cars going by while doing your long distance running or cycling. You count number of Indian flags by the side of the road. So you take your attention outward so that you don't feel the strain in your body. So this is a strategy that is widely used in long distance events, right? Awareness of neural energy use, emotional intelligence. I talked a bit about it. I'm not going to give a lot of time on this. Emotional intelligence, it's one single factor that makes great sportsmen actually. Look at, Roger Federer. His emotional intelligence would be as high as anything, like, he's so cool. I watched him playing in the Australian Open pretty close against somebody like Tipsarevic of Croatia. I watched it for 4.5 hours from the first row. And I was stunned to see the way he managed himself for such a long time, was so much focused. He was so much emotionally balanced in that game. And he won the match at last after 5 sets. So emotional intelligence is an important aspect in sports performance. Energy use and regulation, how you use energy, how you regulate using your energy, not getting into silly arguments with your teammates or opposite players or umpires or even spectators. Never. You're wasting your neural energy by doing that. You are getting out of focus when you are doing that. Neural efficiency. Now we know that we got research these days. We got research these days where we have evidence for neural efficiency in top athletes. They are neurally more efficient than less efficient players, like other players who are less in standard in performance. So neural efficiency is another factor that is pretty important in psychological preparation. Then communication, positive feedback, providing positive feedback. Not always. Positive feedback doesn't mean that always give happy feedback. No. Positive feedback means give factual feedback. I did talk about it earlier, so I'm not going to talk about it again. So give factual feedback. Constructive criticism, provide constructive criticism always. You played really well, but then you were a bit hold on to the ball for a longer than required. I have heard football coaches telling like that, and it is true. Some players are really good ball players. They have a tendency to keep the ball, hold on to the ball, and that probably will cost dearly for the entire team. So give constructive criticism to the athlete, then enhance team cohesion. Cohesion, Albert V. Karen, the top, social psychologist, sports social psychologist in team cohesion, he defines cohesion as the resistance towards disruptive forces, resistance of a team towards disruptive forces. So whatever you have, your players need to know that you are a team. You should be together and you should resist disruptive forces. There could be egos and all those, complexes and everything, but you should forget all that because your ultimate goal is to give your best on the field. Social awareness programs. This is on high now because we want our athletes to be socially aware. We want our athletes to know what is happening in society. Now we know that COVID-19 is a season of COVID-19. Are our players aware about it? Do they really contribute towards different funds, PM Cares or Chief Minister's Relief Fund or something of that sort? Because they have a responsibility for society, towards society. They should be aware about it. When they are aware about society, naturally society will give back it in due course when they perform. That kind of link that you need to develop, and you have to be the psychologist, how to focus on developing such social awareness programs so that they are connected to society. Awareness about closed and open skill situations, I did talk about it earlier, so I'm not going to talk about it again. Then psychological periodization. There are plans like short-term plans, micro plans, like long-term plans, Olympic plans. Accordingly, you have to develop psychological program for the team. If it is an Olympic program, naturally you have to start with psychological skills training, basic principles of motivation and all that, developing communication, and some of the most fundamental things of psychology. And when it comes to the last stage, you should be looking at how they peak, how they come into flow stage, how flowly they play on the field, how less they think about the game, how more they perform on the field. That's very important. So you have to have strategies so that when they reach towards the end of the training program, they are peaking at the right time for the performance. That's very important. Now, another one, regular sensitization training program. You have to include a general sensitization training program, improvisation of skills based on specifications and all that, frequent training programs for enhanced adaptation, balanced programming, automation of skills, close monitoring through testing and all that, analysis of feedback, then frequent changes based on feedback. All these need to be done when you go on. Advanced competition training, complete application of skills, adopting strategies to enhance flow, Then accomplishing targets set that you have to ensure. You have a target, even preparatory period, you have a target. You have to ensure that your team attains that target. You can use modern methods of electronic recording and all that. And you can statistically show or even graphically show what improvement that you're making actually. So that gives a wonderful feedback to the players, and they'll be aware about, yes, we are improving. That feedback is going to enhance their confidence. So such things you need to do: accomplishing target sets, activities to enhance team cohesion, social awareness activities. All these you need to be aware about in advanced competition training. Competition management, mood of the athlete. I did talk about mood of the athlete at the beginning, how we managed during the national games. We always bring in positive things on the match day, no negative thoughts. Their mood is important to invoke flow state. So we always ask them to talk to the dear ones. We always ask them to have their dear food. They always ask them to see their favorite actor. Some of them would tell us, sir, in the Jagadida comedy control. That means I have seen the comedy of Jagadish Srikumar because Jagadish Srikumar is his favorite actor. So someone would say that if I can get a Spanish mackerel curry today, I'll do the best on the court. We had an international player who wanted to have Spanish mackerel every day when he had a match. And he would say that if I get Spanish mackerel curry, I'm sure that I'm going to perform really good, because he developed somehow developed an association with that particular thing. And he always have a feeling that if I have Spanish mackerel for the lunch, then I'm going to be really good on the court in the evening. So these are certain things they develop in order to enhance their mood. And positive mood is important to invoke flow state. Imagery, they do imagery in the morning. They should do imagery. Even if you do not advise, they'll do visualization. But what we need is imagery done in the right way. So you will have to advise them earlier, empower them actually with the skill so that they do it all by themselves. You are not supposed to interfere with that actually. Flow strategies. Flow strategies include never ever put in a new thing on the match day. Some coaches have a tendency, I've seen that the match is going on. Then suddenly he wants to do a new thing. And he says that you do this particular thing. For example, volleyball. A gruesome match is going on. Now the coach is not satisfied with the blocking. Now he wants his blockers to do a new strategy. And he tells them, do this. I've seen right after that, I have seen them missing more blocks than before because they were confused. Because they were on the motor domain, and suddenly with this kind of an input, they were thinking about the change advised by the coach naturally. And it went into the cognitive domain. The rhythm is lost. The rhythm is lost. So you shouldn't be doing that. You have to ensure that you have strategies that will ensure flow state of the player. That is very important. Then attention forcing. What are the attention forcing of a player? You need to be aware about it. And you have to empower the athlete with his focusing. Actually, what are things that you're going to focus on the match day? He should never get involved with something that is not necessary, actually. No negative thinking. No, never invoke a negative thinking into the player. Right. Now, coach would know that sometimes some players are really good in making adjustments. When we say something like, some players in cricket, they need time to get on actually to play shots. But if you ask Sehwag, Virendra Sehwag, when you get in, take your time to play your shots, he would say that, okay, take it, bhaiya. And he would start playing shot from the first ball. So players are different actually. You need to understand that every individual is different. And you need to bring up a strategy according to that individual. That's why I said that one of the first principles was that individualized strategies need to be there. Personality of coach is also very important. I was giving the example of Locus of Control. I know one particular coach. He always believed that he won the match because of something else, not because of his ability or not because of his player's ability. I would say that. So stress or a personality of coach is an important factor. Then stress on performing the best rather than winning. We always have a tendency of stressing the players for winning, actually. And that gives unnecessary stress to the players. Just leave it. We never in Christ College, being sports psychologist, I never ask them to win a match. I never do that. I never ask my athletes to win a race. But we always say that you have to do your best. And they have done their best and they have won the races frequently. And we have been champions. Our athletics team was champions for the last 5 years in Calicut University. And Calicut University is probably one of the universities that does quite well in the All India Inter-University Championships. We never stress on winning, but we stress on performance. We always tell them, improve your performance. Improve your performance. Even if you don't win a medal, that's not an issue. That's not an issue. You don't win a medal, that's fine. But if you can reduce your timing from 10.72 to 10.7, yeah, then that is a win for you, actually. So these are certain things that you need to focus on. And with that, I come to the conclusion of my presentation. I hope that I'll have if I have time, I can run a video, or else I can go to questions. Yes?
Yes, sir. You can.
Do I have time for a video? No.
Yeah, you can share the videos.
All right. Look at this video.
Burn out mentally because you always burn out physically. You got trust in the heart of hearts. Decide what you're doing, what you believe in is a worthy cause, a winnable fight. If you allow it to sit, it will grow roots and start breaking you down, destroying the potential of the person you can be. The champions, guys, it's not their potential, it's not their genetics, it's their perseverance to always show up. What I'm saying is a character. It's not the title that makes you, it's not the success that makes you. The character defines the success, defines the fame, and it starts right there. It's how you look at something. If your name's attached to it, and you do it right, the best of your ability every single time. Championships aren't won in the theater of the arena. They're won in the thousands of hours in the training room, in the labs, in the 5 a.m. runs, and the training when everyone else is sleeping. That's when it's won. The heart of a champion is a light switch that's always on. It doesn't go on and off when someone's watching. It's constant. Fear is self-imposed, meaning it doesn't exist. You create it, you can destroy it too. I love fear. The reason why? Behind every fear is a person you want to be. You face your fears, you become the person you want to be. You run from your fears, you're not living. You're alive, but you're not taking into freedom. If you face your fears, guys, your fear is destroyed. It comes back in its confidence. What else am I capable of? What else am I holding my back from that I'm capable of more? What am I running from I don't need to? What else can I overcome? When you embark this journey, you must know that it's going to go down before it comes up. And when it comes up, it's going to go so much higher than you've ever been. It begins right now with no one looking at it. The difference between a winner and a loser. This is the winner gets back up, it does it again. It does it again until it goes his way. Sacrificing today for tomorrow's betterment. Something in the near future, relative future, that gives value to today. We all fall down in life. The question is, who gets back up? You go after and you give it all you have. If you lose, at least you tried, man. I failed. It's 10 times more of a man than someone said, what if? Because what if never went to the arena? You've hit the wall someplace, you've looked in the mirror too many times and haven't smiled. You want to change the situation, move from where you are. And you do it right, the best of your ability every single time. That's the same person who has his hand raised on the podium one day. Because it's hard, it's an uphill battle. It's a path less taken. That's what creates the champion.
So it is your ability to face the fears, how courageous you are, how you take your challenges, how well you improve upon yourself, rather than winning. Actually, winning can come. If you can take on those challenges properly, surely winning will come one day. Thank you. If I have questions, please.
Yes, sir. Sir, on behalf of the participants, I would like to put up some questions, sir.
Yeah.
Let us start with Dr. Sivaramakrishnan, sir, a
Oh,
senior
yeah.
most physical educationist.
I know him.
My
Yeah.
teacher also.
Yeah.
He has a very good
Karekudi.
question.
Karekudi?
Yes, sir.
Karekudi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can we combine self-talk with imagery techniques?
Oh, sure. Sure. Naturally. I mean, imagery is often combined with self-talk. It is not that you imagine, but the problem is that if you're feeling the movement, for example, if you're doing kinesthetic imagery, it is more like feeling the movement rather than seeing. Kinesthetic imagery, you can always avoid self-talk, but other modes of imagery like internal imagery, visualization, and something of that sort can always use self-talk. Often we know that Sivaramakrishnan sir know that when we do imagery, often it is guided imagery. We have the oral instructions, and accordingly we do imagery. But then we know that when somebody is training, it is not always possible to give the oral instruction. Or think about something like, I was talking about flow. When somebody is playing, actually, he cannot imagine. Can you think about Usain Bolt imagining finishing while he was 50 or 60 meters? Joel sir, will you be imagining after 50, 60 meters? It's not possible. So imagery is something that we use for preparation, actually, prior to the execution of that thing. Or sometimes we use in some certain sports, for example, cricket, in between the overs, you can use imagery. Or in between balls, you can use imagery. Quickly, you can use imagery. Because cricket is a particular sport where you have, it's a sport in breaks, actually. It's a sport in breaks where you have intervals in between where you can use. Of course, you can use self-talk combined with imagery, but not when you are doing kinesthetic imagery, because where you have to invoke the feeling experience rather than the oral. Why I say this, because the language center in the brain, like the Broca's area and all that, is away from the feeling experience. When you do kinesthetic imagery, we have the experience, we have the data, we have evidence that it's like actually performing. Actually, it is like actually performing in the brain. At least neurally in the brain thinks that the individual is actually performing when you are doing kinesthetic imagery. Right? So when you do that, if you combine with talk, probably kinesthetic imagery can be weakened. So I would suggest that you avoid using self-talk along with kinesthetic imagery, but otherwise in visual imagery and all that, you can very well use self-talk along with visual imagery. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Another participant, Mr. Rashid, he has asked one question, sir. Can we introduce psychological training well in advance, preferably from childhood, so that skill and psychological parameters will develop parallelly?
Naturally, that's what I said. Some of your motivational resources of the individuals need to be developed from the early stage. Some of their imagery abilities need to be developed from an early age. So psychology will complement your physical training, actually. So psychological input need to be given at any stage. You can start from the early stage. But for example, I have seen, it just came to my mind, I've seen people bringing newborns into swimming pool. Mother would come with newborn child and directly put in the swimming pool in order to overcome the fear aspect. It's a psychological training. It's not only that the infant would start swimming instantly, no, but the infant would overcome the fear pattern. So psychological training can start at the early stage. For example, we know that the basic reflexes, infants have basic reflexes like they have something like grass reflex, or something like motor reflex, or something like parachute reflex. But as they grow on, all these reflexes will disappear after 6-7 months, and new movements will come in. So when they grow, they not only grow physically, they grow functionally, as well as they grow neurally, psychologically as well. When we say psychologically, so naturally we know that the hardware of psychology is the neural system, naturally. So the neural development and its reflection on the behavior. So you can start early, no doubt about it. You should start early, rather. Right. Thank you. Yes.
Another participant is Rosalind. She asked how to motivate special children.
Okay. It's a very interesting question. We know that we are all lucky fellows, but special children, they have some shortcomings, but they are sometimes better than us, actually, in several areas. In several areas, they are better than us. They can focus much better than some of us in whatever they are doing. So always set them targets, set them goals. So that goal will motivate them. That is one strategy that you can implement. Sometimes to start with, you may need some extrinsic strategy, like if you do this, I'll give you a chocolate. If you do this, I can give you a star by the side of this thing, or give a pat on the back, whatever it is. So you can use goal setting strategies. That is probably the best way to motivate any individual, and especially individual, so that he would or she would find that, oh, this is the target that I had to reach there, and tell them, you are almost there, you can reach there. And we know that we are doing okay, very well in special Paralympics and all that, much better than Summer Olympic Games or Winter Olympic Games. We are doing really well in Paralympics. So we are not focusing on special athletes, special students quite a lot. We need to, though we talk a lot about adapted physical education and all that, we are pretty backward in actually bringing up things in order to motivate these children, actually. All right, okay, Rosalind, thanks for the question.
Sir, last second questions. Last second.
Excuse me?
Okay. Last question.
Only 2 more questions.
Okay.
Okay. See, nowadays most of the competition has called off or it is postponed. So, what is your suggestion for the players?
Okay, this is the best time that they should. As I said, sometimes what happens when you are injured, there is a rehabilitation process going on. What are you going to do? I did narrate the story of Bats, the French goalkeeper, how he managed to improve upon himself by doing psychological training through imagery and video modeling and all that. This is the time for them to, they probably are not in a position to go together and practice outside because of these special conditions prevailing, but they can surely involve in psychological preparations. They can reset their targets, reset their goals. They can make better analysis of what they did in the past. They can do imagery of whatever is going to come later on, probably Olympics in 2021. So make use of the chance to mentally prepare and probably to maintain fitness, along with that maintain the psychological skills and all that. So once the competition comes up, you will be ready for that. So that is probably one aspect, one thing that that athletes can actually focus on now, actually, because they have to sit back and relax a bit. That doesn't mean that they are not going to play in the future. They should be ready for the future outings, and they should make use of this time actually to psychologically prepare themselves and ready for the upcoming competitions later on. Thank you.
The last question.
Yeah.
Sir, last question, sir. One of our participants, Praveen Das, has asked, what are the different areas in psychology? or the field in psychology in India as well as in different countries?
Can you come again?
Sir, what are the different areas in psychology or field in psychology in India and as well as in other countries?
Okay, when you talk about psychology, it's in India, I don't think that it is that developed. But overseas, you find several kinds of specialization. Like my own PhD is psychology in sport and motor learning. Motor learning is a big area, actually. It's a huge area. So you can be a specialist in motor learning. You can be a social psychologist. You can be a mental trainer, psychological skills trainer, rather than being a sports psychologist. You can be a mentor. So there are different opportunities for sports psychologists overseas. There are different kinds of things overseas. But in India, you wouldn't find even, I do not know if we have specialized sports psychology programs. I think there is a program in Tamil Nadu Physical Education and Sports University, some MSc or MA in sports psychology. Otherwise, we have programs like MPhil with specialization in sports psychology. And somewhere in Maharashtra, I think Pune or someone, they have a program in sports psychology. Otherwise, I haven't seen a lot of programs, specialized program in sports psychology in India, but overseas, there are MSc in sports psychology. There is MSc in applied sports psychology. There is doctorate in sports psychology. So doctoral sports psychology, it's not PhD, but you are a doctor in sports psychology. It's not PhD, but you are a doctor in sports psychology. So there are a variety of programs overseas. So if you look into some of these university websites, you would be able to find out what are different courses they provide in sports psychology. I know that in Victoria University, there is an MSc sports psychology, MSc applied psychology. Then there is a there are programs in other universities like Deakin University and all that. Then even in Bern, University of Bern have specialized programs in sports psychology. Almost all foreign universities have specialized programs in sports psychology. But in India, I don't think that we have many options here, except for a couple of courses here and there. You don't find a lot of programs in sports psychology. Thank you.
Yes, time is over. The principal have any other query? Yeah, sir, please.
Sir, on behalf of YMCA College of Physical Education, staff and management, I would like to thank Dr. Sonny John for sharing his valuable time, experience, knowledge about psychological preparation for competitions in this platform. Sir, we would like to honor you with a e-certificate which would be sent to you through your mail, sir. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks a lot. I thank YMCA College for providing me this opportunity.
The certificate is ready for Dr. Sonny John.
Yeah. Oh, I can see that. Thank you for that.
Certificate is ready. You are providing certificate in time.
Yeah, that's really good. I know when George sir is at the helm of affairs, things can move a bit faster. You know.
See, if you have any queries from participant side, you can send your queries directly sent to Dr. Sonny John's email ID. If you are providing your email ID, they can contact you through email ID.
My email is Sonny John, S-O-N-I. Mine, it is not Y, it is I. S-O-N-I-J-O-H-N. Sonny John 2002 at yahoo.com. At yahoo.com. Okay, Sonny John 2002 at yahoo.com. You can send in your queries. I'll be always happy to answer them. Thank you. Thanks a lot. All right.
Before conclusion, one more thing. Actually, many of our head of the departments and professors have also joined with us after 1:30 only that they put in join first. I welcome you all once again.
All right, thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Especially I said you at the beginning because I was really very happy because I am, I'm being in the company of a college actually, where my father was once a student in 1950. So here I have my childhood memories of him talking quite a lot about YMCA College. I was there once. Jody knows that I was there once. I met Jody when I came last time when I came to YMCA.
Yes.
I'll drop in at some other time, probably.
Yes. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks.
Okay. All right.
Thank you,
So
sir.
leave now. Okay. Bye.
Thank you so much, sir.
Bye.
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 Thank you all. Once again, we want to extend our heartfelt thanks to all the participants for joining us, and hope this session is very useful for you. And we'll see you tomorrow, and we'll join together in the Zoom or in the YouTube link. Thank you. God bless you. Be safe.